But that's not the way the state operates.
I know, because you got the legislators tied into it.
They did change in Act 5, they changed the retirement for all new hires beginning July 1st of 2019 to a modified
Index, yeah.
plan, which is a part benefit, guaranteed benefit, and a part invest plan. Now that, but the deficit that they're trying to dig out of is so big
It's
that
massive.
that doesn't really do anything to help us.
It's billions.
It's gonna be a long time down the road until that helps us, so. This is just a
We'll be
teaser's contribution rate since 2009, and you can see the blue graph of what the rate, how the rate has went up, and then the red bar is the percentage change each year. So this is like a double geek thing here.
You're really enjoying that.
Yeah.
You got two different accesses, you got all kinds of stuff going on.
I got stuff happening. So here's where we're, yeah, here's where we're at. We're still waiting for our final property and general liability insurance rates. I don't expect big changes there. We have the budget, the estimate that they gave us budgeted, so we're safe. Medical and prescription, we've not increased that. We don't have the stop loss rates yet, but they generally are very, very similar year to year. So I don't expect us to have any issues with that. We have our $850,000 in this budget for our school bus funding that Brian talked about, and that's been the same number in the budget since 16-17. We have our budgetary reserve for any unforeseen expenses in the budget. We have our requested new positions in the budget, so if the board wishes to move forward with those, they're in there. And ongoing collective bargaining with PESPA, we have a reserve in there for that. And then the revenue side, state funding, 1920 governor's budget proposal is included in this budget. That'll go through a process at the state level, and sometime in hopefully June, they'll finish that. It could be, sometimes it's October or November.
Sometimes.
Yep. Reserve of fund balance for any special projects that may be added. We don't have a reserve of fund balance right now, but if something came up that we needed to increase the budget and we didn't want to didn't have enough revenue to increase it, and we would reserve fund balance like we've had done in the past. Budgetary reserve, budgetary reserve fund balance, if budget can't be balanced, we are balanced. And then state budget and any other potential legislation that could come down the pike in the next 3 or 4 months that could impact us. So, so that's it for that. So questions, discussion?
Okay, so last year we talked about the line item for attorney fees for a solicitor, and there were some concerns about the, originally the $130,000 had been put into the budget, and then based on replacing that with the averages of the actual numbers for our attorney fees at that time, I had requested we pull the $130,000 out of the budget because based on what our current attorney's fees were, it it would not have been needed. And so I wanted to see now this year, how did that play out at that line item, what we used, and what we're budgeting for next year, and what the difference is.
So we have a budget in the 18-19 of 200,000, and 19-20 we have 200,000, the same budget line item amount for attorney's fees. Right now we have the bills through January, and we've spent 97,000 plus, in the 97,000 range of total attorney's fees. That does not include negotiations, because that is in a different
Right, that was a
line
whole
item.
separate pot
Yep,
of
that's a
money.
whole separate pot of money. So of the 200,000, we spend 97,000, and we have the bills through January. So if we continue on the same trajectory, we'll be just under our $200,000 budget, and we'll be looking good.
Okay, so comparing the attorney fees, our current attorney fees with prior attorney fees, what are we looking at? Because I mean, I tried to, I looked at the numbers, and, you know, based on the averages, you know, if you're averaging what we were paying per month with our former attorney compared to our current attorney, it looked like, you know, over that 6-month period, the difference was $41,500. So if you...
So we're right now at 97,000, we're averaging around 13,000 a month. Now, some of the months, we had months at the beginning of the fiscal year that were in the 20,000 range, 20+ thousand range, and we've had a few months that are in the $7,000 range. So in the last, since the first few months of the fiscal year, it's really dropped. The monthly amounts have really dropped.
And do you know what the monthly amounts would have been last year to compare that to? In terms of what an average was, if it's averaging 13 right now, what was it last year?
I'd have to look at it.
Okay.
Look at it. We have a spreadsheet. I actually have a spreadsheet that they're on there, and I can send them. I can send that out to the board members,
Okay.
and you can have. You can look at them.
Okay,
Once
so
a
yeah, I
month,
mean,
yeah.
I looked like between 12 and 13, and then before it was, I think, 16 and 17.
Yeah.
So-
You're probably in that ballpark. Yep.
So, and then I think when we were averaging out the amount of time that, you know, we've had this attorney hired, it was a $41,000 decrease from what it was before. So, going forward then next year, that could be, you know, an $81,000 savings if we stayed on that same path of averages, you know, from what we have now. So it's a good decrease.
Yep.
I also was curious, when was the last time, because you said we have a balanced budget, we're not, no structural deficit, not borrowing from fund balance, not taking out any loans, not raising taxes. When was the last time we've ever been able to do that? When have we ever done that before? I'm curious, do you know when the last year was that we've ever been able, that's ever happened?
11, 12, and 12, 13.
Is it 11, 12, and 12, 13? Okay.
We didn't have structural fund balances until recently. They just didn't
So
exist
was
here. Dr. Fish would have keeled over dead, which he now has, unfortunately. But he was.
Oh, my goodness.
No, he was dead set against that, because that was one of his absolute principles that he drove home repeatedly.
So there was no tax increase those years? No.
Those 2 years, there was no tax increase. There were no structural deficits.
Were there any
prior to
loans
that.
taken out? You know?
Maybe, but
Well, if you borrow money.
Oh.
Restructure, but not new loans.
No, I mean, there was debt service, if that's what you mean by loans.
No, I mean you're paying the loans you already have, not taking out new loans, acquiring new
I don't
loans.
think so.
You mean like for new projects?
Like, right, like borrowing more money to pay for
new
things.
projects.
I don't
I
think
don't
there
know
was.
the history.
There have been, in the last 12 or 13 years, there have been 2 times when we borrowed money to add to debt service. One was for the funding of the VOTEC, our portion of the funding of the VOTEC
Right.
reservation.
And the other was the school,
And
right?
the other one was, we took out money for the fields and some of
Ah.
the capital projects.
Thank you, Mr. Delbert.
Mr. Darbert, that is great work. That
Awesome.
is, that's a
Thank you
lot of
very
long
much.
hours.
That's
I
awesome.
love the crafts.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Are you gonna post that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
There's
You need to
actually
go to
some
public
copies on the back.
No, we need to
table.
do contracts.
You got one?
Oh, crap.
You got to do
Sorry.
contracts.
All right.
Right.
They won't take long.
All right, so,
See?
all right, kids' piece.
Okay, so, contracts A through E, Kids Peace and Learn Well are all, student-related, medical facility. So this is the cost to educate them while they're in the medical facility. F is OneDrive Education. This is a digital library agreement for social studies. It has to do with ebooks, audiobooks, and that type of digital information for the kids. It's $250. G is Lobby Entertainment. This is the photo booth for the high school senior prom. Kids will pay for that. It's $1,000. H is the Jostens yearbook agreement at the high school for 3 years, starting next year, and going through 21-22. Any costs here are parent or student paid to purchase their yearbook. Edgenuity is this is a contract for student courses for the cyber program. The cost would be $325 per course, and the contract start date would be 3/1/19. But we don't have anybody signed up for this yet. We won't do that until but they just have on their on the documentation the start date is March 1st. This gives us another option in order to get courses that kids need when they need them. J is a settlement agreement. I understand that you've already been through that. And then K is an ad that we just did, I believe, on Monday, and Jackie sent out to you. This is Buck's Learning Academy. This is educational services for disruptive youth. We have a placement that needs to go there right away. Instead of they can't is not able to come back to the building. So enough said on that. So that's the contract.
All right, any questions?
No.
All right,
Move them on.
public comment.
Don't throw fruit.
This is what I'm on.
How about no, just kidding.
Sue Furlong, West Rock Hill Township. Congratulations on the no tax increase, and I think that's great, and no borrowing, so hats off to everybody. I do want to mention a couple of things. One was in the music curriculum. You were talking about your AP class. A million years ago, I took a course besides music theory called Counterpoint. And I can't remember the details. I do remember it taught you like what direction the chords move and that kind of thing. It's very closely related to music theory, but it's not music theory. That might be something you could add. It's called Counterpoint. The other thing that might interest the students in the music curriculum would be a conducting class. And there's also a thing called methods classes where they get a little taste of playing the other instruments that they don't normally play, like, you take an instrument out of the brass classification, out of your woodwinds, out of your percussions, things like that, and they rotate just enough to get a little bit of experience in every, because if they ever become teachers, they're going to have to have an understanding of every type of instrument. And so that would just be an introductory thing. That would be my thoughts on that. In your math, I didn't see business math. Is that under the business curriculum? So anyway, I didn't see business math anywhere. The other thing that I would consider offering in the business curriculum, if you've got students who are real enthusiastic, one type of accounting that is extremely difficult to find is a cost accountant. And I've worked with that title. That's my current title, and I had it 2 jobs ago. And 2 jobs ago, I was talking to the guy, and he said, well, the one problem, I'm going to take this personally, but he said the one problem with all the cost accountants that you interview is that they're all old. Because there was a lull in manufacturing where it went down, and the schools didn't educate for cost accounting. But it's a very important part, and with manufacturing coming back, it's much in demand. So I would add that if you need to add a class. And then the financial analysis or auditing, I didn't see that, but financial analysis is a really good class, and I would consider adding that back. That's my other title when I'm not a cost accountant. But they learn how to evaluate businesses using ratios. You learn how to do internal rates of return, return on assets, that type of thing, budgeting. So I really love financial analysis, and I think it's a very interesting way to earn a living, and you work closely with accounting, but you are not an accountant. You have to know accounting, but you're not an accountant. So I would add that. And I believe that would be it for the evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're adjourned.
That's grabbing.
Jackie and Danielle, that's above and beyond, man. That's above and beyond for you two.